In lesson 113, notice this is not in your textbook. This deals with radical equations. This is one of the objectives that we need to work on for our class. And so to do that, I thought this would be the best place to place it. So anyway, first of all, we want to recall that we cannot take the even root of a negative number and get a real number result. And we're going to want some real numbers. We will need to watch out for this because as we're solving radical equations, because sometimes the solution may be no real number. But our first step is to isolate the radical, and then we want to undo the radical by raising both sides of the equation to that particular power. For example, if I want to undo a square root, I need to square both sides. If I want to undo a cube root, I'm going to need to raise both sides to the third power. Then we solve what's left, the resulting equation, and check our answer in the original problem. And I've got two other rules here I'd like for you to take note of. One is if you have a base raised to a fractional exponent, like that 1 divided by n, that's the same thing as taking the nth root. That's just another way of writing that. And then the second rule is a raised to the m divided by n. It could either be the nth root of a to the m power, or it could be the nth root of a raised to the m power. The numerator in that exponent is the power, and the denominator is the root. Okay, so let's look at some problems with this. And this is the one we're going to consider. Find the real solutions of the following equation. So now for this equation, we're going to be trying to solve for x. And in order to do that, in order to solve for x, we need to first isolate the radical. Now that's this part here that's the cube root of 3x minus 5. That's our radical. So to get that by itself on one side, the first thing we're going to need to do is subtract 4 from both sides of the equation. So let's take care of that. And when we subtract the 4 on both sides, we are left with the cube root of 3x minus 5 equals negative 8. Now that we've isolated the radical, the next step is to take care of undoing a cube root. And to undo a cube root, we're going to need to raise it to the third power. So we're going to do that on both sides of the equation. So we're going to take the left side, raise it to the third power, and the right side of the equation, raise it to the third power. Now, a cube root and raising to the third power, they cancel each other out. So what we're left with on the left-hand side of the equation is just the radicand. That's the 3x minus 5. And then the right-hand side of the equation is negative 8 raised to the third power. That means negative 8 times itself 3 times. So that's going to give us negative 512. Then now we're going to solve this like we would any old equation. To isolate the x, to get it by itself, we need to add 5 to both sides. And that's going to leave us with 3x equals negative 507. And then our last step is to divide both sides by 3. So this is 3 times x. And our final answer for x is negative 169. Now here we're working with an odd root, so we're not going to have a problem, but you should always go back and try to check it in your original problem. Check that negative 169 by going back and replacing this x up here at the very beginning, this x, with negative 169, and then doing the operation.